Hi guys, this is Targan coming at you with another episode of Wheat. I mean Minecraft. Minecraft is the name of the game, not Wheat. We're just gonna walk through this Minecraft field because that's the name of the game and mess up the field. Just a little bit. It'll be okay. We will run the traditional way out to prevent messing up the field. More than one walkway might be appropriate, but this walkway is an ancient walkway for when the field was much smaller. We used to walk from the door out into the small field that I thought was a reasonable size. I did not know the wonders that would await me in the world of Minecraft. But first, we should lay down because the air is good when it is light for wheat. Wheat craves photosynthetic action, at least for a little while. But we've been doing some work, some off-camera wheating, and not tons, but we have been doing cherry tree planting, which is of course like not wheat related strictly speaking, but still does involve wheat since you can look at the cherry trees while you're planting it. But we hit that whole ridge line going into the wheat field, so very exciting there. And then we got a couple more little fields and irrigated spaces and such, which it's not that much that we've done since the last stream. Although it does amuse me to be running through this, and as always, imagining a person who hasn't seen it before, and they'd just be like, wait, where does it all end? Well, I mean, eventually it comes to an end, but they didn't even see where it began. Beyond mountains, there are mountains, as the saying says. But we've got all of it planted here, so we'll just jump up real quick and... Hi, Natasha, take a look around. So we got that whole seam going up to the forest. We took care of that. That's what I did like yesterday when I wasn't playing Hades. And then over here, and then we just have like many more cherry trees on that whole ridge line, and then we put, one there. And that's where we're at now. Unfortunately, the peaceful sound of rain will end forever soon enough, because before too long we're going to be at the savannah, where rain never falls. It's very sad. I could get a sound pack and loop the Minecraft rain sound while we're in the savannah, just for the ambiance. Say it's getting nice, thank you. I think so too. I really like the cherry trees here. They're very standard for me, but that also makes them very pleasant to see there. So I don't know, like, when we get to the savannah, because the colors are so, like, washed out and strange there, I kind of don't know. Like, I don't even know what a cherry tree looks like in a savannah. I don't think I ever grew one inside of the biome, so maybe it'll still look fine. But I want to get, like, a bunch of flowers for the side of this little mountain there. Or hill, I should say. It's not really a mountain, is it? Probably just, like, in the style of the Mountain of Light, so, like, a bunch of cornflowers. I think cornflowers show up very, very beautifully with against the grass and dirt. It's really nice in mass. And ordinarily, like, the dandelion sort of split would be good, but you don't really want to lean too much into yellow. You want to let the wheat be the dominant form of yellow that you have. But I don't have super long to play this morning. I thought I would just plant some wheat. We need to fill this in with dirt. We could make something there, but, I mean, what could we make that isn't wheat that would be better than more wheat? Literally cannot conceive of an answer to that question. It doesn't seem practical to ask it. Oh no. I accidentally pulled dirt out of my bag, ruining 5 seconds of hard work. Alright, everything got better again. We sort of, pre-irrigated the fields a bit the other day. I just ran around and haphazardly, placed water sources and slabs to cover them and such. Which is nice, because, the fast growing of wheat is to be encouraged, and the irrigated land looks prettier and all of that. I have a stair step down of this, but it's like over here, yeah. And impatience is the order of the day. After all, we can just plant more wheat. The wheat will forgive us for trampling on it. Trampling it. Tromping, not trampling. Anyway, what even are words? Today, in an episode of A Guy Who Thinks He Knows Some. Weird underground, a little bit wheat is a great kind of wheat. All wheat is beautiful, but wheat in a strange place you don't expect to see it. That's, a treasure to everyone. I was thinking of playing my hardcore world, but I still don't, planting wheat's the only thing I want to do in Minecraft. I ran out of other motivations. It happens. Not to everybody. It certainly happens to me. I think, this is always a funny comparison to make, but it's like, in Forrest Gump, when he's just running across the country, and he's just running because that's the only way that he can spend his time, right? He's got some stuff to work through, although Forrest isn't articulating it like that. He's using the jogging as a means to psychologically process whatever he needs to deal with in that moment. And then one day he just says, "Okay, I'm done. I'm gonna go home now." And everybody's like, "What? But running was your whole thing." He's like, yeah, I was running for a bit, but now I'm gonna go home. And then he did. Because plenty of people have, obsessions that just don't go away, but mine tend to be, somewhat cyclical to keep things fresh. And it's like, I can still remember what it's like to be highly motivated by a thing that I no longer find motivating at all. It's curious, One of the strange human experiences. It's like, like World of Warcraft Classic, which I bring up a lot, which is ongoing. Its second proper resurrection and third revival. There was a time when I would wake up like at 4 in the morning when I had to go to work at 8. I would just sleep for 3 or 4 hours so I could play more of it. I mean, there was a time when I lived and breathed it, and I knew almost everything there was to know about all the stuff that I was interested in it. I could tell you the ins and outs. I'll be like, hey, that's enough wheat. I don't know when, though. We've got the plan, you know. I had thought it already happened, but that only lasted a little bit. The call of the wheat. It's strong. It's got a cell wall. The cellulose speaks to us. But I also only had like 45 minutes to play max, so I didn't want to play Hades on the chance that I got into a spot where I didn't want to put it down. Because that game, oh man, I'm really loving it. Mechanically, it's fun, you know, engaging and all, and that's great. But like, really very hooked on the story and some of the character developments. Even if I'm not like, this is going to be a big payoff, I'm really liking how some of the famous characters are being treated. Hello, Angelo. But when I was starting out, you know, I was dying every like 10 or 20 minutes, so it would have been practical. But now that I can live for like 30 or 45 maybe, oh, it'd be so bad to like be at a spot where I didn't want to stop at all and then have to go to work. Be like being a child again and having a timeline on my activities, the worst. It's a reason why I never agree to do anything that's not work. Angelo, your question, will today be actually just wheat or mostly wheat? It's just wheat today. Mending tools using wheat qualifies, but we shouldn't have to go back and do that. The host should be in good enough form, and we won't even have to farm any wheat since we've got plenty of seeds and some stuff. We did some irrigation in some spaces, but no more of that. Only wheat. Wheat today, wheat forever. Back to the wheat. I should start naming these in the style of famous movies. Minecraft wheat is people. You know, that kind of thing. Citizen Wheat. Actually, now that I've started telling this joke, I realize this is exactly why television writers do it, because it's awesome. It does amuse me that by Minecraft standards, this wheat field is, you know, maybe above average. But by human wheat field standards, this is not very much wheat at all. If you just, you know, take the meters of wheat that it would be, and no, we don't measure it in meters, you measure it in hectares usually. But you could theoretically describe land in meters squared. Perhaps in other places they do that. Because we don't want to put wheat on the island. We're going to do something else there. And we don't... Yeah, we don't really need it on this side of the, Yes. right about there, that'll be where it breaks in. We might do something there, but that'll be the dividing line when we have this little river, and then that will also let us move forward towards the boring flat savanna. Although the savanna is very important because it is the source of the mountain where the Temple of Wheat will be built. The Temple to Wheat. It will not be of wheat. It will probably be of marble. Or something similar. Whatever the most marblish thing I can find is. Quartz is like marble. I know it isn't. But, you know, quartz is like marble. So maybe that'll work. Oh no, I'm drowning. I forget that in Peaceful I can drown. I shouldn't forget that. I used to die by drowning all the time in Peaceful. Because I didn't like get any armor or gear for the longest time, like at all. Because, you know, why would I? And we did a couple of these sort of hills here and there, which is great because those are like the annoying things to do. So I was tackling that one morning with my coffee. I was like, all right, we'll do the hard parts of the wheat field, and then everybody can just see the satisfying rows that you can sort of like haphazardly chunk your way through. I should probably make like a rail line to connect to home. I do love rail lines. I probably have the stuff for it. I'm not going to do it in this video because that's not just wheat. That's not just wheat at all. Making making rail tracks in Minecraft is a whole different subset of love. You know, maybe I will start making... You know, I could just do the hardcore roller coaster again and work on that. Although creepers do occasionally come around, and that's annoying. I do like the roller coaster. And I had plans for it further. Yep, that would be a thing to do in hardcore. I didn't get bored with doing the roller coaster. I thought other people might have been bored with it. That didn't influence it too much. I had other stuff that was that were priorities too, but it would be nice to have the coaster to home, the rail line going along the wheat field, and then, you know, we could just pop in it whenever we needed to go to the field of 1,000 cows and get mended up. Hades is filling me with like a particular sort of gamer fear that I only get sometimes, where it's like when it's one of the most engaging games I've played in a long time, and I almost want to not play it a little bit, you know, like play it less, save it, but I am not that sort of person. As I have related to people before, if you weren't supposed to eat the pint of ice cream, they wouldn't wrap it in a pint-sized package, would they? No, they wouldn't. They would sell it in a smaller package. But you know, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. one thing I love about this field is that, you know, it feels like, am I even making progress, right? Like, is this futile? But it's definitely not. You know, the progress comes fairly quickly. All you have to do is believe in yourself. It helps to already have a field of moderate size to start, but, you know, anyone can become a successful farmer in Minecraft. First of all, you don't get blights, that's good. I mean, a creeper blowing up your wheat is sort of like a blight, but it's not like a pest that spreads. It's gonna be so weird when this field is done. I mean, sure there'll be other worlds to conquer. Other wheats to plant. I really gotta fill that in. In the official Minecraft Mobs data book, it said the creepers reproduce by creating spores. Okay, so they are, like a fungus then. And their hearts are made of TNT. Mine too, creepers. Mine too. That is a cool Minecraft fact. In Warhammer, just say fantasy and also like a separate but also a sci-fi universe called Warhammer 40k. They have a race of like orcs. Like they're sort of like fantasy orcs, but you know, like in Tolkien, but a little different. But they are like a fungus. They reproduce by having like spores. So even if you think you have wiped them out, they can just like grow again in the mountains. And Warhammer orcs get stronger by fighting. So basically, as soon as they're born, they'll seek out fights to get stronger. And then anytime you kill them, they just have more spores. So it's like all orc invasions are perpetual, unless you like get real extreme with your flamethrowers. I did not play orcs in Warhammer 40k. One of my good friends that is like the bulk of all the Warhammer I've ever played, he has a large orc army though. Speaking of Warhammer, I realized I got Darktide in the Humble Bundle. I mean, I realized it some days ago also, but I might stream some of that tomorrow. Darktide is sort of like a Left 4 Dead clone, made by the developer Fatshark. I say Left 4 Dead clone not in like a rude way, but it is one. I don't know the name of the genre. But they had done one called Vermintide and Vermintide 2, which were based in Warhammer Fantasy. And in there, you fight against the Skaven, which are like principally the enemy, and they're like rat people, but they have like a network of caves ranging, you know, under the planet, and they have these harebrained schemes, and they basically have like nuclear weapons, but like the scary magic kind, and they're not very good at controlling them or their urges. And you know, everybody else is like riding around on horses or maybe dragons, and then they're just like having machine guns that are shooting out like laser beams and stuff. And in Darktide, that one's set in 40k, so like in a sci-fi futuristic world with, you know, like guns and ships and stuff. And you know, you choose a hero and you shoot at waves of enemies in a randomly generated world and that kind of thing. But I wanted to get it, but I didn't want to spend money on it because it was poorly received at launch, but it supposedly has gotten better. And I wanted to give it a shot one of these days. Maybe tomorrow. But I'm so into Hades that I don't know if that's going to happen. I should be sleeping. It's nighttime. This is an absolute waste. I guess, like, if I was a much more responsible farmer, I could have, like, light sources for all of this. I'm not about that life. We're going to need to make this jump. It shouldn't be hard, right? Yeah. And that'll be a very important thing. My dog has done the friendly thing where they smell considerably more all of a sudden. Good dog. Who's a handsome old boy? Exactly. No light included. There have been some attempts in the past to add a very small amount of lights to the wheat field in some parts of it. They were mainly on the mountain of wheat because I was trying to get thunderstorms to happen. I did not understand the mechanic yet of skeleton horses. And I thought that you needed to get a skeleton horse struck by lightning, and I just happened to have it happen. Happened to have it happen. That's actually an entirely proper sentence, and I won't apologize for it. And so after, because it was on Peaceful when my first skeleton horses appeared, so afterward I became quite interested by it, and basically stood still, and I had my 4 skeleton horses in different places with lightning rods. And then if there was a thunderstorm, I would stay there and wait for them to try to get hit. And someone told me that it would be different if there were monsters on. Or they hinted it would be. They were like, maybe you should try this. And so I had all these creepers on the mountain. And eventually I just stopped doing it because I get annoyed with them blowing up my wheat. And I went back to wheat planting. And then on the hardcore world, there was a thunderstorm that resulted in me getting a skeleton horse. Or, of course, 4 of them. We let a couple of them go, and then one got stuck. We held on to him. We died of a different reason. But I mentioned the skeleton horse thing because it actually, in very large part, is why the Wheatfield expansion even happened. Because I needed to stay around where my horses had their pens. So I had a horse near home, and I had a horse in the middle of the field, and I had a horse in the basement to be like my horse to ride out on, and then one on top of the mountain. That one didn't make it. But ultimately, none of them had been struck by lightning again. See, there's a zombie horse too? Interesting. We need to fill this in, but filling it in is not wheat. And this is just wheat. I read the description. Mending the tools using wheat qualifies, but putting dirt down. No, I don't know. I didn't read the description. I lied. Maybe it says that I'm allowed to place blocks. We won't do it anyway, just in case. Even if the letter of the law will allow me to place blocks, the spirit of Just Wheat should be honored. You know, I don't want to disrespect the honorable video description and title by shoehorning a bunch of stuff that is unwheat into it. I mean, where does it all end? Literally, where would it all end if I just started doing things that weren't in the title of a video? In my second Minecraft video, I said I was going to try to make a crafting table, and then I did other things for like 30 minutes. You're like, wait, your second Minecraft video? Oh, yes. I don't recommend going back and watching them, but I'm sure they are amusing, and in a certain sense. Yeah, so the obsidian with the stick. I remember that specifically. Like, I was convinced that it was gonna be some result. Whoever knows what. It's like I'll simply hold down, and before long, because of course with the logic stretching it, with the thoughts I was having, it's like, well, you know, if it will let me hit it, why would it not let me break it? No, I didn't try to make an obsidian sword. I physically hit an obsidian block with a stick in my inventory in my hand. I had not yet made a tool, but I thought the obsidian looked cool, so I was hitting it until it broke. It takes a little bit. No, I failed at playing normal like several times in a row, and I'd never played Minecraft before, and I was just like dying all over the place, just couldn't do anything. And then one of my friends helpfully pointed out that I could play in peaceful, and there wouldn't be monsters, and then maybe I could actually like learn how the game goes. And then I played nothing but peaceful for several hundred hours, until eventually a viewer was like, "Hey, maybe you find it more interesting if you fought monsters sometimes." So I did. I turned it up to easy, and I already had like an enchanting table set up and everything. So I turned it up to easy, and I thought it was too easy, and then I turned it up to normal and then hard shortly afterward. And then that led to me playing hardcore. So I went from like not playing with monsters at all to playing on hardcore very quickly. But there's a long transition period of doing silly things, like digging a massive hole in the middle of the ocean, like filling in a huge portion of a ocean monument by hand with sand, that kind of thing. I need to get back to work on that. That was going to be a glorious video whenever I finished it up entirely. I had spent a lot of work on it. I'm sure there's a machine that'll do it all for me, but I don't know how to make it. All right. Time to survey. Yeah, so we're making good progress here. Yeah, and we'll take this whole side up until the tree line, and we'll wheat all of that, and then just push up that way, and then we'll have this entire thing from that river upward, and then all of that too. See, it looks like a lot of space to cover, but it's gonna go quick. That's a lot of flat ground with minimal obstacles. So I look forward to getting that taken care of pretty quick. I need to cover up these ravines. I'll probably do that off stream or in an episode of Mostly Wheat. But it's always good to... Oh yeah, I put a couple more cherry trees over here on the Mountain of Lights too. I thought they offset things nicely there. But the sun sets on the field of wheat. It's a good place. You know, it's not much, but it's mine. I forget how much is on this side of the mountain. Actually, it's a really big block over here, and I just always gloss over it. Because really, like, both this side of the mountain and that side of the mountain in my head are like just not even really a part of it. Like that's that section. And the real field of wheat is what we see here, you know, looking out. So it's always nice to remember that sometimes our accomplishments are even greater than we think they are. Sometimes the wheat is more large and beautiful than you even recall, even when you planted all of it. We'll take a small look around here. Come into my house with our cats and our picture of Marcus Aurelius on the wall. Lay down. A good little time. I really like this field. It's a good one. You know, it could be bigger, and that's what we're working on. Day by day, wheat by wheat, the field of all of our dreams is, you know, it's taking shape. It's doing pretty good. Because the objective, as we know, is within sight. Within sight. It's going to be in sight any moment now. Within sight. So, like, right here, as the wheat field is, we'll be able to approach, and every time then we're getting closer and closer, we'll be able to see the eventual mountain of the Temple of Wheat. And that's very exciting. It's a moderate amount of exciting anyway. We've got it all set up, and now all we have to do is execute the dream. A mountain of wheat in one distance, a mountain of wheat in the other. So we'd be able to have here, maybe we'll have like a cool little way station where you can witness both of the wheat mountains. Maybe we'll build a little wheat visitor center there on the mountain. There's a lot of on the island. There's a lot of possibilities. We'll figure some of them out. But thank you guys for watching and listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Just Wheat. And when we return, we will have more of the same. No, probably not another wheat video today. Probably Hades, but in like 12 hours whenever I get out of work. So, see you guys.